Not-for-profit organisations face different HR and workplace relations challenges when compared to private enterprises. We recently sat down with On-Demand HR client and CEO of Young Life Australia, Glyn Henman, to get his perspective on this.
Tell me, like obviously a non-for-profit organisation like Young Life, what sort of getting into the HR and employment space, so what sort of challenges does organisations like yours have in sort of HR and employment? And what do you think are different between the sort of challenges that you might have on HR employment and what private organisations might, or business organisations might have?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I mean, obviously because we're doing a lot of HR stuff and really trying to get on top of our game around that stuff. I think what a lot of not-for-profits think about is that we're so different that we don't really fit, and there's challenges around that, and I would say that's true for us as well. But at the end of the day, you've got to fit. You've got to run your organisation as a business, so you really need to understand that space. The complexity in it is often you don't have the money to do the things that you want to do around that, or to employ people for the hours that you want to employ them or whatever. And then you have that volunteer component that sits beside that as well, because so much of what you do is actually driven by volunteers, and your volunteers are key in that space. But you need to manage those people well also, and you can't just have volunteers supervising volunteers all the time. You've actually got to do some employment along the way, I think, if you're going to be successful and build a credible organisation, because there is a lot of pressure on that. I think in our space as well, in terms of working with young people, there's a lot of obstacles in terms of people volunteering, in terms of child protection issues and all those bits and pieces. That's just a minefield, a necessary minefield, because individuals, and I'll say it this way, it really is the very small minority of individuals who have used organisations and not-for-profits and churches in particular to become predatory. The vast majority of Australians, good-meaning, just lovely people who want to serve, but it's the minority that have really spoiled it for the majority. And so that becomes red tape along the way as well. But then, so you're just looking for people to be employed in that space, and there are specific skill sets in all of that. And, it's a complex business, really. But again, having said that, all the same skills necessary in business as well. You need to think strategically. You need to be able to budget. You need to be able to manage all your finance. You need to manage your HR space. You need to manage your communications. You need to manage all those things. So all those skills are absolutely necessary at the same time.
It seems like it's that volunteering component in particular that's probably the core of the difference. That effectively what you're describing is sort of your key employees managing a bunch of volunteers, and that's quite different, having a supervisor or manager motivating a bunch of volunteers, than it is to motivating junior subordinates or junior employees, so to speak. I mean, it's a totally different, I would imagine it's just a totally different kettle of fish in dealing with those sort of things.
Yeah, I think when you're managing people who are employed, there's a relationship that sits there that's quite clear often, and you don't perform well, out the door you go. We may not be that harsh about it, but essentially that's what's going on. You're there to get paid to do a job. Whereas in the not-for-profit space, you're leading out of vision all the time and out of your mission. And so it's people coming in, understanding that vision, that mission, and committing to that, and saying, that's the motivation, that's the payback right there, is that I do that piece. And I also have engagement with, in our case, young people with the vision and mission on the ground, and you see lives transformed. And so you go, there's the payback right there. So it's a different kind of remuneration, if you want to put it that way. So it really comes around vision and mission and transformation, as opposed to, well, I got dollars in my pocket and I can go and buy my new car or whatever I want to do, right? So that sort of is a key difference in leading people around that space.